Boosie Badazz is now facing potential federal prison time, with renewed attention on whispers surrounding his alleged 2005 murder-for-hire case resurfacing. And at the center of the noise is Charleston White, hovering like a vulture, seemingly eager to turn Boosie's misfortunes into his own moment of triumph. As you may know, Boosie recently entered a guilty plea for illegal firearm possession following a drawn-out legal fight.
A lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world making. So I just want to get it over with and, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
He stated he was simply too tired to keep fighting. But that fatigue shouldn't be mistaken for weakness. It's a sign of strategy. The real focus now is Charleston White, a man who feeds off turmoil, mockery, and controversy. He's been tracking every development in Boosie's situation with intense focus, circling and watching for the right moment.
Boosie going to jail! God is good.
So here's the question that's on everyone's mind. Will Boosie hold his ground, or is Charleston gearing up for another win at Boosie's expense? To grasp why this standoff is intensifying, you need to look at how Boosie's been managing things behind the curtain, and how Charleston continues to find new ways to provoke him. And as many of you already know, Boosie Badazz hasn't been his usual outspoken self, the same person who once fiercely clapped back at critics and trolls online. In 2025, there have been noticeable shifts in his social media presence. For example, a reel from May titled "I Gotta Rest" revealed a man clearly drained. While some took it as him venting about his legal stress, there's more to it than that. Boosie has diabetes, and lately, his health has taken center stage. For him, rest isn't just about courtroom fatigue. It's about preserving his well-being as the spotlight continues to follow him. And despite all of that, his supporters have remained loyal, flooding his comments with encouragement, prayers, and uplifting words. It's become a kind of digital support system, helping him stay balanced during turbulent times. But here's the reality. No amount of public support has slowed down Charleston White. What he's doing isn't simple trolling anymore, it's turned into a kind of mental chess. With every move Boosie makes, Charleston counters with disruption, consistently pushing the idea that Boosie's struggles are fair game for mockery. Just a few weeks ago, Charleston took to Say Cheese to make yet another statement about Boosie.
Boosie just pled guilty, and he's facing up to 15.
God answered my prayers.
Why?
Because I prayed for him to be found guilty. Y'all don't remember? Remember?
I remember.
Boosie is relying heavily on his faith and the support of his fans, while Charleston White continues to provoke him through taunts and ridicule. It's creating a slow buildup of tension that feels ready to erupt. The pressing question now is, how much longer can Boosie maintain his composure before Charleston crosses the final line? We've already seen Boosie on Vlad TV acknowledging that he's aware of Charleston's remarks, but he chose to dismiss them entirely.
White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
To fully understand why the tension is so intense, you have to go back to late 2022. That's when the long-standing friction between Charleston White and Boosie Badazz started to escalate publicly. Many of you might recall that it began when Boosie criticized Kanye West for wearing the controversial White Lives Matter shirt at Paris Fashion Week. Boosie spoke out strongly against it, calling the message offensive and disrespectful to the Black community. But Charleston didn't agree. Instead of joining the criticism, he lashed out at Boosie online, targeting him for even voicing his opinion. That disagreement turned what was initially a cultural clash into something much more personal.
I slap him for what, nigga? When you had a 15-year-old hitman, nigga, that murdered black people. Who next, Boosie?
Since then, Charleston has kept up a steady stream of attacks. He didn't just focus on Boosie, he expanded his criticism to Boosie's family, especially his son, Tootie Raw, and T.I.'s son, King Harris. This went far beyond online insults. Charleston began publicly insulting them, using derogatory names, and even forecasting legal troubles. Things became more serious in 2023 when Charleston claimed he was the one who tipped off law enforcement, an act he said led to Tootie's arrest on drug and weapons charges. Rather than stay silent, Charleston openly mocked the situation, taking credit and laughing at the legal trouble Boosie's family was facing. That level of psychological targeting is hard to overlook. Charleston's attacks didn't stop there. He's continued to bring Boosie's health into the mix, frequently mocking his diabetes, suggesting, sometimes sarcastically, that Boosie might be denied insulin or that his health might collapse under stress. Social media became his tool of choice. Filled with countdowns, sarcastic prayers, and targeted taunts, each move designed to corner Boosie emotionally and mentally. Even though Boosie's supporters continue to show love and encouragement, Charleston has only ramped up his efforts. His goal appears clear. He wants Boosie to face the harshest possible outcome in court. Let's be real, this isn't just about gaining attention. It's a calculated form of psychological warfare designed to break Boosie down publicly and personally. And if you know Charleston's track record, it's easy to see why he's been able to push this far. As a teenager, Charleston testified in a juvenile case related to the Michael Levy incident, choosing to testify against a friend involved in the matter. That decision, combined with his background in gangs and time spent in juvenile detention, reflects a long-standing pattern of using both legal systems and public pressure to steer outcomes in his favor. This isn't just random provocation, it's a deliberate method. And Boosie's current legal troubles have only added fuel to Charleston's strategy. So, what exactly did Boosie do to provoke Charleston so deeply? Here's the context. Boosie has been entangled in a prolonged federal legal battle that has stretched over years. It all began in June 2023, when he was arrested in San Diego for illegal firearm possession during what was supposed to be a routine Instagram Live filming. Authorities discovered 2 firearms in the vehicle, a Glock and a secondhand weapon. That incident instantly turned Boosie's situation upside down. At first, things seemed to turn around. The state-level charges were dismissed in mid-2023, and for a brief period, it looked like Boosie might catch a break. But the federal government wasn't finished. Prosecutors refiled nearly identical charges in federal court, putting Boosie back under scrutiny. By July 2024, a federal judge again dismissed the charges, citing a Ninth Circuit court ruling that deemed it unconstitutional to prosecute nonviolent felons for gun possession. However, that relief was short-lived. Prosecutors quickly revised their case and reintroduced it, dragging Boosie into yet another exhausting round of legal proceedings, physically, mentally, and emotionally draining him. By mid-2025, the toll of fighting for years had begun to show. Boosie started signaling, both in public statements and on social media, that he was worn out. He was no longer interested in dragging the case out. In August 2025, Boosie entered a guilty plea for 1 count of illegal gun possession. As part of the agreement, a second charge was dropped, and prosecutors recommended a sentence of roughly 2 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Boosie had discussed the situation with his family and ultimately decided that accepting the plea deal was the most sensible move, not as an admission of defeat, but as a strategic step towards stability. His sentencing is scheduled for later this year. No one, not even Charleston White, can say for sure whether this legal ordeal marks Boosie's breaking point or simply adds to his already complex journey. But one thing is clear, Boosie has handled the situation with careful calculation. While Charleston has been loud, aggressive, and constantly online launching attacks, Boosie has opted for a completely different response. Rather than react, he's remained strategically silent. And this silence isn't rooted in fear. It's a form of protection. Facing serious federal charges, Boosie understands that even one misstep, or a poorly chosen word, could be used against him in court. In his interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie explained that he avoids certain topics because his words could easily be twisted and used as legal evidence. He reinforced that point again during his Vlad TV appearance, stating that some people simply aren't worth responding to. And he has a point. Why give Charleston any more material to work with when his entire strategy revolves around provocation? By staying quiet, Boosie is making sure he doesn't give prosecutors anything that could further complicate his case. He knows the position he's in, and rather than fall into another trap, he's choosing self-control. Because Charleston White isn't just a random internet personality making noise. He's built a massive platform with millions of followers on YouTube, Instagram, and other channels. He understands how to work the algorithm, and every time he mentions Boosie's name, it becomes viral content that spreads instantly. Charleston has perfected the use of shock to drive engagement. Charleston White is known for making outrageous claims, pushing limits, and intensifying conflicts until he's the center of attention. We've seen this pattern before. Take his interactions with Aiden Ross, for example. He created so much commotion that even Vlad felt the need to address it. That's the extent of his influence. He's not merely chasing clout, he's actively shaping conversations as they unfold. The real concern, however, lies in how far he's willing to go. Charleston has made comments so offensive that they can't even be repeated online. These moments only reinforce his public persona as someone who thrives on controversy, regardless of how extreme it becomes. So, when Charleston sets his sights on Boosie and begins publicly mocking him, those remarks quickly travel across millions of screens, potentially influencing public opinion around Boosie's circumstances. That said, let's be clear, Boosie isn't without controversy himself. The Marlo Mike case, which Charleston continues to reference, is part of Boosie's history. His most serious legal issue remains the infamous 2005 murder-for-hire case. This was not a minor accusation. Boosie stood accused of paying 17-year-old Marlo Mike $2,800 to kill Terry Boyd in what authorities described as a gang-related conflict in Baton Rouge. That case landed Boosie on death row, held in near isolation as the state of Louisiana prepared to pursue the death penalty. The prosecution's case relied heavily on Marlo Mike's jailhouse confession, later withdrawn after Mike claimed he was pressured and threatened by law enforcement. Additional evidence included phone records linking Mike to Boosie's studio before the murder and a tattoo he got afterward, allegedly referencing Boosie, which prosecutors used to frame a narrative of Boosie as the orchestrator. However, Boosie's defense team argued that Marlo Mike was acting independently, influenced by external pressures and already connected to multiple murders. They also pointed to Mike's ongoing mental health issues. After nearly 5 years of incarceration, Boosie was acquitted of all charges in 2012. Boosie's attorney effectively dismantled Marlo Mike's credibility, and the jury ultimately rejected the prosecution's narrative, allowing Boosie to walk free. Still, the shadow of that trial has never completely faded. It remains one of the most talked about cases in hip-hop. History, an episode Charleston White frequently brings up whenever he wants to increase the pressure. And that's exactly where things become more complicated for Boosie. Every time Charleston revisits those past allegations, it reignites media interest, stirs online speculation, and causes people close to Boosie to revisit questions that many hoped were settled long ago. Charleston's approach, intensifying existing tension, adds a new layer of pressure that's difficult to ignore. Now, regarding Boosie's current legal situation, while the plea deal recommends around 2 years behind bars, the truth is that the federal firearm charges he's facing could have carried a sentence of up to 15 years. That means the potential for a much harsher outcome, possibly even 10 years or more, is still technically on the table. Think about what that could mean. A decade in prison would separate Boosie from his children, his loved ones, and his music career during some of his most important years. The progress he's made, the projects he's been working on, and the visibility he's worked to regain could either stall or disappear altogether. So, while the plea agreement might seem manageable on the surface, the larger reality is far more serious. With federal prosecutors still holding the upper hand and Charleston continuing to influence public perception, Boosie is facing more than just a court battle. He's trying to preserve his future, both personally and professionally. As for public opinion, it's divided. Some believe Charleston White is simply stating hard truths, highlighting Boosie's past and holding him accountable in ways the legal system may not have. But others view Boosie as someone who has already been through the fire, falsely accused, facing the death penalty, and spending years incarcerated, only to come out the other side still standing. To some, Charleston White doesn't come across as a truth teller at all. He looks more like someone actively trying to tear down another black man. That divide is visible everywhere, in podcasts, barbershops, TikTok clips, and clubhouse rooms. Some believe Charleston's pressure could be the final push that leads to serious consequences for Boosie, while others dismiss him as background noise, just chasing attention. Regardless of the stance, all this speculation fuels the ongoing conversation, and the community can't seem to look away. Now picture the media frenzy if Boosie ends up receiving a sentence close to 10 years. The headlines would be non-stop, clips would flood social media, fans would debate even more fiercely, and in the midst of it all, Charleston White would likely be online celebrating, claiming credit, framing it as his win, and saying he was the one who brought Boosie down. That's the line Boosie is walking right now. This moment isn't just about a plea deal, a sentencing date, or Charleston's commentary. It's about the broader impact on his legacy. Every decision, every headline, and every public reaction contributes to how Boosie will ultimately be remembered, either as someone who endured and overcame everything the system threw at him, or as another figure who couldn't survive the pressure. And in that space where freedom, reputation, and resilience all collide, there are no easy answers.